why are we all doing this right now? Why is this happening over Zoom and not at someone's house? What's going on in the world that's causing this?
Social distancing.
I think the answer is behind you.
The answer's right behind you, bro.
Whoa.
And what is that?
How's everybody feeling?
Good. I'm healthy as a horse.
So far I'm healthy. I don't know about Josh.
Like shit.
Who's got? See, that's not great. I mean, do you guys all have your toilet paper?
Yeah. It's all
Yeah,
sold
shelves
out.
are empty.
I
I
got
got 24 rolls.
I got 6 rolls left, thank God.
I had a beautiful old lady for it.
Yeah. Josh said he got double ply, but I told him to unravel that shit and double it. You know?
Yeah, I'm trying to go quadruple
Yeah.
ply on that. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
That's for my butt.
Yeah.
How about you, Aaron? How's things on the West Coast?
Pretty much the same. Probably as you guys. I heard, well, now they're starting to close down restaurants. And, well, they're urging people to close down their restaurants and bars.
Hey,
Forcing it.
hey, out of all you guys, who? Jim, I know you're kind of just quarantined, like staying put. Who
Yeah.
else is just like staying put?
When you say quarantine, doesn't that mean you have it and you're trying to get rid of it? Or does that... You mean quarantine as in you're just staying inside the home and away from the public?
Yeah.
Just staying away from away from public places.
Gotcha.
I guess it's for
Well-
quarantine.
Well, I was just wondering. So we're not doing this podcast in person because of that reason. I'm just wondering who of everyone. I'm just wondering who of everyone here is actually not going out.
I'm reducing my going outness.
I think everyone's reducing it.
That's about too much.
I'm afraid the public places won't have toilet paper.
I mean, because like I'm literally just doing everything that I always do. Like we went out to a restaurant in downtown on the riverfront, like my whole family, last night.
How was it? How was it out there, like at the restaurant?
There was definitely a lot less people. Apparently, like the waiter was saying, it was like it's a lot slower. But there were still like a crowd of people there.
Yeah. It's true.
It's also like St. Patrick's Week or the bar.
And then my brother went down. He had a trip planned to go to Ocean City, New Jersey, or Sea Isle City, New Jersey, for just over the weekend, and they still went down there or over there.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to notice any difference right now, but the whole point of the social isolation is to prevent it from getting, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Take precaution. That's
We
what
know,
it is.
I mean, you already had asymptomatic transfer of the virus that's been occurring. So people that don't even show any symptoms are already able to pass it on.
Right.
So people
Right.
are okay,
There's a
about
pocket
2 weeks after exposure.
right?
That's
So, I
what
mean,
I'm staying in.
yeah.
Up to 2 weeks now, they're saying actually okay, or 2.
Yeah.
So it was like 5 days, up to 5 days, 5 days to 2 weeks.
My uncle was kind of had the same attitude that Josh has. Like basically, he was kind of just like, I think everyone's just gonna get it eventually.
I don't know. I mean, at the point right now.
I mean, I know you were like half kidding, but like,
No, it's actually there's
Yeah.
Joe, referencing Joe Rogan's podcast, but that's what he was pretty much saying. Was one of like a leading guys in the disease area, but he was like saying like up to 50% by the end of the year, something like that, of America will have it. So it's like going to be a part of us more so than just kind of like going like disappearing like all of a sudden.
Yeah, I mean,
But the freak out part, that's the part that I think the media is kind of responsible for. Because, us not being able to buy water and toilet paper is pretty ridiculous. I feel
that's a good point.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, I agree.
I went to the store twice, and
hold on, what did you guys all agree on? I just had to get my charger. My
Say it
phone.
again.
It sucks.
Media
They said the
freak out.
coronavirus is a media conspiracy or something. I think that's what they were saying.
No.
Fuck
like
out.
No conspiracies, no places.
It's a freak out. It's a.
Kind
It's the liberal mainstream media trying to spin it
Not information at
to
this
make
point.
sure Donald Trump doesn't get reelected.
Maybe is Josh gonna be our comic relief?
Ooh.
It's an overreaction.
So-
I gotta be the contrarian. I guess if you guys are all agreeing, then I have to kind of take that.
I mean, what are they doing? Like, they're actually just they're saying what the CDC guidelines and recommendations are. Like, they're telling people how else are we supposed to make people aware of this and get them to think it's serious. We need
Yeah.
full
Well, yeah.
participation for the whole thing to work.
I might be leaning more on the Ryan side of this.
What other than a global pandemic do you not get serious about? Right? I mean,
We
this
haven't
is
had alien invasion yet.
that's
yeah.
true. That's true.
That's true.
Yeah. So I mean,
It's
this
the only
is
thing that I can think of that might unify us as humans would be alien invasion.
Josh,
Yeah, but people are getting ready to fight to the death over toilet paper.
I have two questions. Two questions for
That
you.
doesn't sound like unification.
I have two questions for Josh. First question. I know that you said your dad was a little worried. You went and got tested negative. Do you know how much the test cost?
No, he didn't get tested. He just went to the doctors.
Oh.
Yeah.
Your doctor has the test ready?
No. He just, he's the kind of person that was saying that, like, he'll read about, like, symptoms, and all of a sudden he says he feels those symptoms. So,
Oh,
went to
okay.
the doctors, like, a couple days ago, and they were
So,
like, based off the symptoms he was showing, he wasn't technically, like, they didn't think he had the virus, so. But, yeah, it wasn't really until, like, Friday that the test started becoming more available.
Okay. You want to hear this?
So is everyone on the same page? Is this affecting
Did
everyone's
your dad
work?
get one of those tests that became available? Like suppose there was like tens of them somewhere that you can pick up a free
What?
one.
Tense? No, I'm not sure.
It's just a cotton swab, and you can send it off yourself.
Well, they had the drive-through at the riverfront where, if you were showing symptoms, you just drive up and they were, they would test you.
Yeah. Did
If
your
you-
dad do that?
Question number two. Did your work close up yet?
Yeah, or has it affected your work in any?
Whenever you were waiting to see if your work was going to close this week.
Well, it's closed, but also I'm supposed to go in. So they're just encouraging you to use your leave time. You can either do leave or your
Yep.
time without pay. But I have enough time off that it's not an issue for me too much. But yeah.
Didn't you work today, Ryan?
What's up?
Didn't you work today?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to drive around, knock on people's doors.
They're not saying anything about giving you time off or whatever, right?
No, that's the weird part. I'm like just waiting for an email from them.
Did anyone?
Every time I check it. What's up?
Did anyone? When you knocked on the doors, did anyone answer you?
Yeah, two people. They actually set appointment times for this week. They didn't seem worried at all. And I let them know. I was like, okay, I'll see you on Tuesday. I was like, just to let you know, if you feel things change up, with everything going on, you feel a little differently, like just let me know.
I have a question for Tammy. Is the dentist offices being hit by this? Like, anyway, are your people canceling appointments?
Yes, we're getting a lot of cancellations, more so for their 6 months hygiene. Tooth pain, they're keeping it, even though they're patients that are at risk, that so they just traveled somewhere, or they've been to New York, and they're not, they're kind of being out and about. And then it's also affecting us that since there's so many people in the world wanting masks, we don't have any masks anymore. So we have to kind of reuse the same mask all day, as long as possible. And my office is not the only office. I have a lot of other friends in other dental offices, and they're undergoing the same issue where there's all the masks are back ordered and we don't have any. So we have to reuse this, keep the same mask on all day and try to stretch them hopefully to the next order, no matter where we try to order from. So, and they're getting cancellations as well a lot. yeah, it's affecting us. So there's a couple offices in PA, dental offices that did close. I haven't heard word on my office yet.
Right. Yeah, they're cutting back hours at. So now I'm doing audiovisual technician work at a hotel, Grantchester Hyatt. No one's been there this entire week, so our hours are getting cut down already. And then next week they're like, we don't even know what hours you might get. So, yeah, and no one's. I don't know. I think all businesses are getting hit. That's like kind of what I'm trying to get at. Like, it doesn't matter what you do. It's affecting everyone's business.
Yeah.
Yeah, think about it. It's only been in this country for how long? 3 weeks? 4 weeks? Maybe a month now? I mean, it's just the beginning. Right? I hear a lot of people comparing that there's far fewer deaths than flu, but flu, there's a vaccine out, and that the majority of people do take, and we still have 20 to 60,000 deaths per year in this country on average. So that's with a vaccine. And this is just the beginning. This is just coming into our country and spreading. So I mean, and so Tammy's they're running out of masks. Like, think of how fragile everything is that we depend on, and what's going to change.
My doctor, one of the doctors I work for, he has a couple daughters. They work in different states as nurses, and they said they're out of hospital beds where it's a lot worse there with the coronavirus. So between the flu and other accidents, they have this special alarm that says when they're out of like beds, and they don't have rooms to put the people. They were saying she's told them that we don't have like ventilation, like the oxygen tanks and stuff, or any more hookups. They're like, the hospitals are limited.
Yeah.
So that's also probably plays a factor.
Really?
People with respiratory problems in the hospital passing or critical condition because they're getting kind of gypped. So they're trying to, I think, get these numbers down by creating some panic for us to like wash our hands and be more careful, because there's no room anymore at the hospital. So.
Yeah.
Hey, I see a ferret. Aw.
So they're actually testing these vaccines right now on these guys. Ferrets have a very similar immune system. So when I worked in the vaccine field, ferrets were one of the things that they test before they move to non-human primates. It's crazy.
Didn't the virus start from like anteaters or something? You said. Like,
I heard that, yeah.
What's that about? In Wuhan, were they eating them or something? I don't want to start rumors.
They eat a lot of things there.
Okay.
Yeah, the wet markets.
Yeah.
So there's
I heard bats and those anteater things, whatever they're called, I forget.
Andolas or something like that. Yeah.
It's basically how they can test the strand that they know it didn't come from a lab, of somebody trying to, bring down the population, or it was just Mother Nature creating something, and
Nature does it by itself. We don't.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that a friend said that somebody that survived the coronavirus, they tested them again, and they still test positive. So they're worried that actually it can actually have a dormant property inside of a person, and it's been 29 days, and it's still there. It's still in their system, even though they're acting fine. So it can still spread. I thought that was really interesting. So I thought that was, the scary part of it is, they say that's like 3 to 4 days after contact, and you'll have no symptoms, or some people have mild allergy symptoms, and then meanwhile it can, jump to somebody with like, respiratory issues in the first place, and it'll just totally take them out.
That's so great. Yeah.
Oh, pangolins, that's what they're called.
Pangolins. Cool.
They're more like, not really anteaters, they're more like, what's it called? Armadillos.
Yeah.
Kind of scaly.
Also
Can't imagine eating one.
Yeah,
or a
also
bat.
leprosy. A lot of leprosy comes from the armadillos.
Huh.
Yeah. I mean,
Something else too. like
Okay.
hepatitis C or something. There's another like STD style thing that they carry naturally. Like you're advised not to even touch them. They can be transferred very easily.
Yeah, there in Missouri, there's a lot of actual armadillos that you'll see when you go down south, like on the side, like roadkill. You know, they got hit by a car, but there's a lot of them. And they say, don't you're not supposed
touch
to
them.
get on.
Right, they say that about koalas, they have chlamydia, because they just all have it. But they tell you not to touch a wild koala in Australia.
I didn't know that one. Why
Yeah,
did they make them so fucking cute then?
I know, it's because the babies, they're not paying attention and they're stuck on the mom's nipple and they're stuck on the butthole supposedly, so, and they get it. But that band One
I never
Direction
knew that.
that went out there, like they had to get like all vaccinated and quarantined because one of the band members picked up a little baby koala and all the natives like were like, put it down, you know. And they rushed it to the hospital.
Hey.
Fun fact.
Well, Tammy, you mentioned that the virus can be, it goes into this like latent phase, right? Where
They're thinking it actually might like dormant because there's still the people that got over the coronavirus are still testing positive.
right. So what happens though in the testing, like right now, even it's like 1 to 5% of our genome, right? Of our 3 billion base pairs, 25,000 proteins in all of our cells, like 1 to 5% of that is viral origin. So just like that's what viruses do, right? They go in, they can use our cellular machinery to replicate themselves, right? That's why we don't consider them alive because they can't reproduce themselves without our machinery. So when they say they're going dormant, they're probably incorporating into our genome and just not being replicated at that time. That's what also happened with the AIDS virus, right? It incorporates into you, and then it can lay dormant until it starts being, made basically. Yeah, we call it a transcription. So that's probably what's happening.
Okay.
But that's why we can still test for them, and they can still show up positive because you're just checking for that sequence, that viral sequence that's unique to the coronavirus in your genome.
Okay.
So when they test, are they just testing for antibodies?
No, they're actually they're doing what we call a polymerase chain reaction. So you can basically have a single sequence, and you look at it like what makes it unique, and you amplify that sequence. So you're looking for it. So if that sequence is present inside of you, you'll be able to amplify it and see it in large, like basically just if it's there, it shows up as a band on a gel. If it's not there, it won't show up. We do this every day in our lab to make other things, but that's the same process that they're using to check for something. So it's a pretty simple test. We just need any sample that we can get DNA from and then look for that sequence.
So if somebody has it, are they just going to test positive for the rest of their life?
Most likely, yeah. If it actually incorporates into you, that's why if you're like just like HIV, you will always test positive even though you've beaten the virus. Like it's no longer.
Right.
So, yeah.
The
But it's
flu
a
as well.
flu. But it's like part of a flu virus. It's that's when when you get the flu, it goes away. It's not
Right. So it's not actually incorporating in. There's several. It's called viruses go through a lytic cycle and a lysogenic cycle, and so some of them never get incorporated into your genome. They just interfere with your cells and replicate there. But some of them actually go in. Yeah. It depends on what they're made of. Like, without getting too much into the genetics of it, but some of them incorporate into you and some of them don't. They can just get made. They can get replicated while they're not inside your genome.
So you're saying we don't know what this is yet?
Oh, we probably know now. I haven't looked up the specifics on this one, but I could probably look it up.
To the Google.
Yeah, you want to see if it's a DNA virus.
Fact check.
You have to look, is it a DNA virus or an RNA virus? RNA viruses will basically just get made into proteins as soon as they get into your machinery. But a DNA virus can be incorporated into your DNA.
Wow.
some RNA viruses can be reverse transcribed into DNA and then incorporated in. I mean, there's a
I think I
lot of,
heard that with Lyme's disease, how it's like it's a kind of, you take a bunch of antibiotics, but then some people get it again because they kind of, like you said, like I said,
Like the chicken pox or something.
yeah, chickenpox, then it turns into shingles, kind of like that.
it'll get incorporated, and then come out, it can be expressed again when you're an adult, right? I mean, your body has so many protection mechanisms, like even if it gets incorporated into you, like you might have heard the term epigenetics before, and that's where individual sequences within your genome become methylated. So that just means that there's the body, like your cell has put protective coating over that sequence, like carbons, so it cannot be made. So it's basically just putting a shield over it, so your machinery that replicates doesn't go into that area. It's basically locking it off. So that's what like methylation is, and so your body naturally does that because, I mean, there's a lot of things in our genes that come from viruses all the time. Like we're constantly being attacked. Our bodies are just really good, and we only hear about the times when it's something new that just transferred from an animal to us. So it's like new to our body. But that's why, 1 to 5% of our DNA is already virus, but we've already like shielded it by methylating it. So it's not doing anything.
So what you're saying is we just need to wait
Well, that might
Till
take
we-
millions of years, but
and then evolve.
yeah, it takes time. Definitely. Yeah, the people who are immune to it will probably, might have it in their system, but it just gets methylated faster.
So you need to go hunt it down and get it, and then have a bunch more kids, and then you're responsible for evolution.
In a way, yeah, if you've reproduced, but we actually can use CRISPR to go and find this sequence, and you can target it for methylation. We haven't done that before, but that's just very new research. So I mean, the tools are out
I've heard
there.
of CRISPR. I don't know too much about it.
It's basically how bacteria fight off viruses. Like bacteria are always getting infected by viruses all the time, and
I thought CRISPR was like an actual like technology. Is it just a term to describe
Oh.
something?
we actually we took CRISPR from bacteria. It was actually discovered the sequence back in the late 80s, but nobody knew what it did, and it took like 2 decades to start discovering what it does and how we can use it to benefit. So I'll just tell you a quick analogy. Like if you're a shop owner, right? Say you own a convenience store. What do you do when somebody comes in and keeps stealing food from you, right? You put up their picture on a wall, so the next time they come in, you can kick them out, right? So that's the same thing bacteria do. They basically take a snapshot, a photo of the virus DNA, and then they incorporate it into CRISPR. So the next time the offspring of that bacteria can go and attack when they recognize that picture, that virus again, can go cut it.
Can you get the definition of CRISPR? I'm still not following exactly what CRISPR is.
Yeah, it's
Just